Britney Spears was a Southern girl from the country with the voice of an angel and a head full of dreams. Not even 18, she tops the pop charts as a potent combination of radio-ready hits and Lolita-themed sex appeal that makes her not just a superstar, but an icon.
She really was a kid, and all these different people were depending on her financially. She became a mega commodity for them.
Until a mental breakdown sparked by aggressive paparazzi and the terrible advice of her so-called friends sends her over the edge.
To have Britney Spears not be able to dance, people really felt like, whoa, there's a problem here.
This is an epic meltdown, and it is not pretty.
She's in desperate need of some very tough love.
Even though she was in her 20s, she still had the mind of a 15 or a 16-year-old and acted accordingly.
This was a brilliant move on his part. She can't sign anything, she can't make any decisions, she can't spend any money, she cannot sign a contract, she can't make a deal. So how do you sue somebody that has no control?
To a celebrity, image is everything. But when that image is destroyed, can it be rebuilt? You be the judge. Celebrity damage control. On the cusp of a new millennium, a young Southern girl from rural Louisiana takes America and the world by storm, becoming the pop princess for a new generation of music fans.
Britney Spears is a pop music exec's dream. She can sing, she can dance, she's beautiful, she's funny, she's charming, and she's coming up at the perfect time to be a pop star.
For almost a decade, Britney rules pop music and the top 40 charts with a parade of hits that range from heartbroken ballads to dance floor bangers. A lightning rod for controversy and an inspiration to millions, she is truly one of the 21st century's brightest stars. But when a series of bad relationships and a take-no-prisoners war with the paparazzi take a toll on her mental health, the result is a breakdown that's as public as it is disturbing.
It seemed like overnight Britney Spears went from megastar to punchline. What was so sad about all of this is she really didn't do anything wrong. She was just behaving like a typical teenager.
Only a decade after becoming a huge star, Britney Spears is in need of some serious damage control, not just to save her career, but her life.
December 2nd, 1981, Britney Jean Spears is born in rural Macomb, Mississippi. Transplanting their young family to historic Kentwood, Louisiana, Britney's parents, Lynn and Jamie, raise all three of their children as strict Southern Baptists. One afternoon, while playing on a trampoline, Britney's life changes forever when her mother, Lynn, overhears her daughter singing.
You know, they say that Britney Spears was singing before she was talking, and apparently one day she was out in the back and she was singing a Sinead O'Connor song, and her mother heard it and thought, this girl kind of has talent. So she actually asked Britney, you know, what do you want to do? Would you like to do this? And she was all about it. So that's really the start of the Britney Spears that we know today.
Recognizing their daughter's talent, Britney's parents begin nudging her into the spotlight, registering her for local and state-level talent shows at an age when most kids are just entering kindergarten.
Her parents did push her quite a bit. They became very, very ambitious about her career. The problem was, as her star rose, she became more of a commodity. And some point in there, it went from the soccer mom job to stage mother, the kind of stage mother that is just a nightmare to work with. And this didn't bode well for her. Somewhere in there, somebody should have worried about Britney.
In 1990, Britney travels to Atlanta to audition for the cast of a revived TV series.
When Britney was 8, she decided, I'm gonna go try out for the Mickey Mouse Club, and she was not chosen because she was too young, but the casting director of it got her in touch with a New York agent who told her, let's get you into some classes and see where we can go from there.
While Jamie stays in Louisiana and struggles to pay the bills, Lynn heads to New York, enrolling Britney in the Professional Children's School and takes her to classes at the Broadway Dance Center. Within weeks of their arrival in the Big Apple, Britney proves her potential by landing her first major stage role.
She ended up landing kind of an understudy role in an off-Broadway musical called Ruthless. Everyone involved with the production saw the star power that she had.
Towards the end of the run, Britney has the opportunity as an understudy to play the lead.
A lot of performers work their whole lives to make it in New York. Britney had a starring role before she was 10. Clearly, she's natural.
When she does turn 10, Britney and her mother now travel west to Hollywood to compete in her biggest competition yet, the popular TV talent show Star Search.
Star Search was hosted by Ed McMahon. It was the precursor to American Idol, and there was no YouTube or anything like that at that time. So people that wanted to become stars, that's where they went. So a lot of people, including Britney Spears, went on Star Search, and like Britney Spears, many of them didn't win, but because of their exposure, they went on to very long and very lucrative careers.
But Britney does win the show's singing contest the first week. And then week 2, she's sent packing, despite a stellar performance.
It's really expensive to keep your daughter in all the lessons, the dance classes and the voice lessons, and then the travel for all these long shot opportunities. So it was a really tough struggle for the family financially, and eventually as she started getting these jobs and getting somewhere, the pressure was on her to support the family.
Although she fails to capture the Star Search crown, things are looking up when Britney auditions for the all-new Mickey Mouse Club a second time and nabs a coveted spot in the cast.
Britney's not the only future star on the Mickey Mouse Club in 1993. Among her castmates are Ryan Gosling, Christina Aguilera, and this other young man who can sing and dance by the name of Justin Timberlake.
I think that what people have been drawn to from the very beginning is that she is that country girl at heart. And that makes her very accessible, and that's a really big challenge for people who become such famous pop stars, is how do I stay this pop star but also stay relatable and accessible? And Britney's been able to do that through the good times and the bad.
Over the next 2 years, Britney establishes a fan base on the hit Disney Channel show, singing and dancing and performing in comedy sketches, a clear standout among the talented cast. When the show was canceled after 2 successful seasons, Britney returns to her hometown in Louisiana to once again figure out the next steps of her career with her mother Lynn. In 1996, Britney receives an offer to join a new girl group called Innocence, but recently hired manager Larry Rudolph thinks Britney would be better off as a solo artist.
With Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and Spice Girls, there were a lot of girl and guy groups, right, boy bands and girl groups. And Larry Rudolph, her manager, really felt, we're not gonna have you be part of that. We're gonna kind of carve our own niche, which was the smartest thing that they could have done.
Rudolph arranges for an audition with influential Jive Records. Belting Whitney Houston's torch song, I Have Nothing, for a small room of label executives, Britney scores a contract. She is immediately sent to Sweden to work with Backstreet Boys producer Max Martin on her debut album. On September 30th, 1998, Jive releases Britney's debut single, the Max Martin-produced Baby One More Time. Accompanying the song is a Lolita-esque video featuring Britney in a sexy schoolgirl outfit.
When Baby One More Time came out and the video came out, they were immediate successes, and part of it was because she was so young and yet playing the naughty schoolgirl, but also it was just pure pop, and with all of the grunge that was on the radio, and to have her, who was so all-American and an unbelievable dancer, we hadn't had a performer, an overall performer, you know, on the radio or on the charts for a long time.
The song goes straight to #1. Baby One More Time is the epitome of bubblegum pop, but it's an international success. All of a sudden, Britney Spears is a huge deal.
Her overnight success is later described by Britney's mother Lynn as a tornado that blew through the family. The product of a thoroughly modern music industry, Britney's fame stems not just from her music, but also from her controversial image, a teenage sex pot with pouty lips, short skirts, big eyes, and the voice of an angel.
Britney was talented. She was a very talented kid, but in order to sell more, they created a very controversial image for her. Her constituency was the tweens group, and the way they sold her, the way they promoted her was so inappropriate for that group that it created a lot of controversy, and obviously we know controversy sells. Yes, it sells, but her emotional well-being really took a hit on this.
As the year 2000 arrives, Britney Spears is not just a star, but the hottest star on earth. The first pop culture icon of a new millennium.
Even though she had toiled away for years, it was like she became a megastar overnight.
Britney's parents have been moved aside, and managers, agents, and record companies are controlling Britney's life. The question is Britney Spears truly ready to become one of the most famous people on the planet? Just a year after releasing her debut album, Britney Spears is already one of the world's biggest pop stars. But the stress and anxiety of fame is about to take a huge toll on the young singer. Joining popular boy band NSYNC on tour, Britney is reunited with former fellow Mouseketeer Justin Timberlake. And it's not long before the pair fall madly in love, sparking a paparazzi frenzy.
I think they really epitomized the ideal American couple and kind of the dream of having it all and being talented and that first love, and it was just a match made in heaven. It was very transparent what was happening, and that's really when all the stuff started coming up about just people really wanting to know what was going on with her personal life and just being in her face and in their face. And you know, it was never going to work just because of the pressure that the paparazzi and you know, consumers were putting on them.
As their romance dominates the tabloids, the young couple also field a lot of questions about how they might combine their careers.
What would you guys do together if you got to do a project together? What would you like to do?
Anything.
If he would do something with me, that'd be cool.
Do movie,
A movie, a song,
a whole album.
Oh man.
Despite the media's fascination with her love life, Britney remains focused on her solo career. In May 2000, she releases her second album, Oops, I Did It Again. Debuting at the top of the charts with $1.3 million in sales in its first week alone, the disc smashes SoundScan records and establishes Britney's staying power.
Hit song, hit album, Oops, I Did It Again, proves that Britney can indeed do it again. She's not just a one-hit wonder.
It was, you know, kind of a slam to the media. It was like, I'm in on the joke, and look, here I am making another giant hit. So, you know, and it was an incredible single, and the album did phenomenally. The hits that she's had have been mega hits, and that's because she has producers like Max Martin who are just, you know, just churn out hit songs. But initially, you know, the singles were picked very specifically. One, to kind of go along with, you know, what was playing out in the paparazzi and the media, but also to really kind of stair-step her into becoming more mature as an artist and as a woman.
The reigning queen of pop for a new generation of music fans, Britney shows no sign of slowing down with new projects, ventures, and appearances. Between 2000 and 2001, Britney publishes 2 books with her mother, hosts Saturday Night Live, performs in front of millions at the Super Bowl, and signs a 2-year promotional deal with Pepsi for $8 million. And she's barely 20 years old.
This kid made none of her own decisions. Everybody told her what to do every step of the way, from her mother to her manager to her publicist to the record label, and everybody in between, anybody she dated. Everybody had complete control over her life, and she just did what she was told. In her private life, she wasn't so ready to sell out, and that's where the clash came in, because Britney herself was not what they were selling. And she was not educated. Yes, she is street smart. She was not a virgin. She was a normal teenager.
Releasing her third album, the self-titled Britney, in the summer of 2001, the young star ups the ante on her work schedule by launching her third international tour in as many years.
That's a lot of work. And if you don't have the support at home, if you don't have a strong family foundation, if you don't have the energy emotionally and physically, and she was lacking in all of these things by this time in her life, it could spell pure disaster. And that's exactly what happened to her.
Now established as a star, Britney appears poised to follow in the footsteps of one of her heroes, 80s icon Madonna, a pop star with long-lasting fame and influence. This includes pursuing acting.
As far as acting, I don't know if she was necessarily just emulating what Madonna had tried to do, but she wanted to do more. And when you've kind of reached a plateau of being the best in the world at something, kind of ready to mix it up a little bit, and that's why she did Crossroads.
In her first feature film starring role, Britney appears in Crossroads, the story of a young Southern girl with dreams of becoming a pop star. For obvious reasons, it's a story that hits home for Britney.
I was on my 3rd tour, and I just wanted to try something different to see even if I could do something, try the acting thing. And I was really inspired by the script. I really love what the script was saying, and I love the whole relationship between the girls and the bond that they had. So honestly, I was inspired to do it because still to this day, I still have my best friends, 3 best friends, Courtney, Larlin, and Jansen. And that's one of the things that, I think that's inspiring to have that. And I wanted to do the movie because I could kind of relate to it to a certain extent.
Though she throws herself into the role, critics aren't kind once the film lands on the big screen.
Crossroads debuts in February 2002, and it bombs. Critics pan her performance.
I knew totally going into this that there's always a chance of failure, but I'm the type of person, I'm willing to take that risk, and I love Crossroads and I love the whole story behind it, and it's something that I want to put my heart into, so I was willing to take that risk.
Although she holds her head high, the disappointing reviews of Crossroads do impact Britney. But the following month, she is dealt an even harsher blow, as she and Timberlake end their relationship after 2.5 years together.
To fans, the breakup almost did them in. People just couldn't believe that America's sweethearts were breaking up. Industry, other folks, it was inevitable. There's just too much pressure. They were too young, too much pressure, and there's just no way a relationship would have worked.
The official story was that the breakup was mutual, but a lot of insiders were saying that Britney cheated, allegedly with her choreographer.
As 2002 continues, Britney's bad year gets worse, as she's criticized in the press for ignoring rain-soaked fans outside her hotel in London, and later for cutting a concert short in Mexico.
Again, Britney was very young when all of these world tours were taking place, and some of her performances were not as successful as she wanted them to be. Fans were very upset with her for one reason or another. So that was leaving a pretty bad taste in her mouth and starting to wear her down. And then add on that her parents were now divorcing. Well, that was too much for her mental stability, and she paid the price.
Although Britney claims her parents' breakup is the best thing for the family, it's another layer of stress. In the summer of that same year, Britney launches her latest venture, Nyla, a gourmet restaurant located in the heart of Manhattan. By November, however, Britney will sever her ties with the troubled eatery. 2 months later, it will close under a barrage of accusations of financial impropriety and mismanagement.
You always have to kind of wonder, okay, who are the people behind those decisions? Like, who are the people saying, yes, a 21-year-old celebrity from Louisiana knows enough to open a restaurant in Manhattan? Who are these yes people?
In August of 2002, Britney announces a plan to take an indefinite hiatus from her career, citing an overwhelming need to take a break from the stresses and demands of touring and recording. Britney instead appears to devote herself to a reckless and hard partying lifestyle.
We see from a lot of child stars who become adult stars that they complain about not really having a life. We saw it with Michael Jackson, and now we see it now with Britney Spears, who says, yeah, I was acting out, I was doing all of these very juvenile and stupid things because I was working, I was a star, I didn't really get to live my life as a child, I lost my childhood. What really was going on is what we call arrested development. This was a person who didn't go through the regular maturational phases, and even though she was in her 20s, she still had the mind of a 15 or a 16-year-old and acted accordingly.
As rumors swirl of fly-by-night relationships with rocker Fred Durst and actor Colin Farrell, along with insider accounts of many nights spent smoking and drinking, concerns arise that Britney's hiatus is less a vacation than a meltdown.
So America loves a great success story. They then love to tear people down, and then they love a great underdog story. She became very polarizing every time she had a misstep. Whatever the misstep would have been, and whoever thought it was a misstep. And she even said to people, I'm never allowed to just be a human being. I'd rather be an inspiration to people than a role model, because I'm just a human being and I make mistakes.
Attempting to distance themselves from the falling star, In December, Pepsi announces they will not be renewing her contract.
There was a fear that she was having some kind of breakdown, but what people didn't know was that it was about to get much, much worse.
Claiming to have taken a break from her career to relax, Britney Spears instead has sparked rumors of a meltdown. But what her fans don't know is that the worst is yet to come, and to survive, she's going to require tough love and some incredible damage control. Returning to the public eye in the biggest, most outrageous way she can, Britney opens the 2003 MTV VMAs with a scandalous performance alongside fellow former Mouseketeer Christina Aguilera and Britney's childhood idol, the one and only Madonna.
The VMAs are always full of shock moments. So Madonna, Christina, and Britney do this rendition of Like a Virgin. Madonna makes out a little with both of them, and it's the most buzzed about pop culture moment of the year. If Britney wanted to make a splash with her comeback, she did exactly that. Mission accomplished.
In November of 2003, Britney releases her comeback album, the critically acclaimed In the Zone. Proving that the hiatus hasn't damaged her appeal, the album debuts at #1, her fourth album in a row to do so.
It actually was an amazing album. It was seen as more mature, had a harder edge to it. She had a lot more control over it from a production and songwriting standpoint, and Toxic was a giant hit.
Following the album's release, the entertainment industry honors Britney's success with a prize star on the famous Hollywood Walk of Fame.
And then, just as things seem to be going well, she gets married in Vegas.
On January 3rd, 2004, the world awakes to the shocking news that Britney Spears has married childhood friend and virtual unknown Jason Allen Alexander. In a spontaneous ceremony at the infamous Las Vegas wedding factory, a little white wedding chapel, Britney and Alexander tie the knot at 5 a.m., just as the sun is rising over the city of sin.
First of all, everyone thought that she had married the guy from Seinfeld. When it came out that it was actually her childhood friend, also named Jason Alexander, and they had been drinking in her hotel room, they decided, let's do the most outrageous thing that we can do, which is get married.
To marry this guy on a whim, 5 o'clock in the morning, after a night of drinking, was perhaps her way of trying to break through, of saying that she's her own boss, of doing something impulsive, which certainly is very different than that life of being controlled. But it proved to be a very stupid decision.
After Britney calls her parents with the announcement, Lynn gets on a plane immediately. Within hours, Britney and Alexander are surrounded by her entourage, including her manager, Larry Rudolph. Rudolph arranges the legal paperwork to have the marriage annulled. That night, Britney and Alexander sign the papers, dissolving the marriage, before going dancing at a nightclub. In April of 2004, just 3 months later, Britney finds a new man.
Kevin Federline, AKA K-Fed.
Formerly employed as a backup dancer for Justin Timberlake and Michael Jackson, Kevin Federline becomes a tabloid sensation. The media portrays him as a bad boy with a nasty reputation as a leech, eager to live off Britney's riches.
When he started dating Britney, Kevin actually already had a girlfriend who was 8 months pregnant with their second child. So no drama there.
Just weeks after they begin dating, Britney and Federline get engaged. When they marry in a surprise ceremony the following September, the consensus is that he's bad news for Britney.
He saw this opportunity of Britney Spears and just honed in on it. She was at a weak point in her life. And I mean, people just could not stand him. And he looked like a thug. People expected much more for Britney Spears.
More concerns arise when Britney fires longtime manager Larry Rudolph just a month after the wedding. A month later, Britney posts a note on her website praising her husband and declaring her intention to take another unexpected hiatus from her career.
There came a point where she just wanted to be a mom. She just wanted to be at home and have kids, and Kevin Federline was there, basically. And it was a bad move across the board. From his standpoint, from her standpoint, it just, besides her 2 children, nothing good came out of it.
Despite her efforts to step away from the spotlight, Britney remains as fascinating as ever to the supermarket tabloid press, who splash her every move on their covers as paparazzi stalk her endlessly.
Her first taste of the tabloid press was in England, and these people terrified her. They screamed her name, grabbed at her, surrounded her. Her bodyguard actually had to swoop in and carry her to her car, and they just kept pushing. This is very reminiscent of Princess Diana and everything that happened to her. The sad thing is it continues, and the more she acts out, the more they're in her face. It's really, really tough to have a meltdown or even a bad day under the glare of cameras.
Britney reveals in April 2005 that she's expecting her first child. Her husband, now going by the hip-hop handle K-Fed, does nothing to improve his reputation. Reports surface that he regularly leaves Britney at home to party in LA bars without his wedding ring and throws away her money in seedy Las Vegas strip clubs.
Kevin had this image of being this super cheesy backup dancer who just struck it rich, and now he was mooching off his megastar wife.
When Britney gives birth to a son, Sean Preston Federline on September 14, 2005, bids for the first images of the baby reach $500,000. In the months that follow, serious questions arise over Britney's parenting skills after she's photographed driving on the highway with her son in her lap. Later, the Department of Child Services intervenes, following reports Sean Preston has suffered a nasty fall from a chair.
To her credit, she says the whole baby in the lap thing is a Southern thing. Whatever the reasoning, it's becoming kind of clear that Britney is going a little bit off the rails. K-Fed, nowhere to be seen other than partying and spending his wife's cash.
As Britney gives birth to her second son, Jaden James, in September, husband K-Fed prepares for the release of his own debut album, a collection of hip-hop tracks in which he boasts of superstardom and partying.
When this album came out by K-Fed, it was so good because it was so bad. And it was at that point where there just was no going back for the fans as far as accepting Kevin in her life at all.
Just a month after the release of K-Fed's album, Britney pulls the plug on her unhappy marriage, sending Federline a text to tell him she wants a divorce.
Kevin was on this reality show, and he was very smugly insisting that Britney was very supportive of him and his career, that their relationship was stronger than ever, that any rumors out there were false. And the cameras actually caught him reading a text that he received from her. In this text, she asked him for a divorce. He was visibly shaken. I mean, he actually disconnected the mic for about half an hour and tried to figure out what to do. As she says, oops.
Though Britney posts a message to her fans online, thanking them for their support, the truth is that even her most ardent admirers are beginning to doubt their idol. Britney's life has been a fantasy come true, but she's about to go down a road where fantasy becomes a nightmare. After demanding a divorce from husband Kevin Federline, Britney Spears is about to downward spiral into 2007, the worst year of her sensational yet young life. As the divorce moves through the courts, both parties file for sole custody of the children. Britney appears to escape into a hard partying lifestyle filled with booze, drugs, and endless wild nights. Once again, concerns arise about her ability to keep it together.
This poor girl was making every mistake in the book. After filing for divorce, she decides to start hanging out with some friends, and she chooses the two worst possible people on earth, Paris Hilton and Lindsay Lohan. The three of them, when they would go out together, they just seemed like ridiculous, spoiled children. And then she goes and does the crotch shot for the paparazzi. Kevin was starting to look like the stable one.
With Kevin Federline out of the picture and Britney desperate to get her career back on track, former manager Larry Rudolph is rehired to take charge of her affairs. But it seems not even he can prevent her deteriorating image after she passes out at a Vegas nightclub while celebrating the new year. As 2007 dawns, Britney's fun and sexy image gives way to that of a depressed, drug-using, alcoholic single mom.
She became the butt of a lot of jokes in the media of comedians. And quite honestly, it was wrong. because this was a woman who was suffering. This was a woman who was separated from her children. She was depressed. She was drinking. She was really down. And the worst thing you can do to someone in that state is to kick them while they're down.
Britney's most devoted supporters begin jumping ship as her struggles continue. In January, the largest fan-run Britney site on the internet pulls the plug, with its creators voicing disapproval of her recent behavior. Britney turns to her own website to attempt damage control with her remaining fans.
When she wrote this letter on her website, she said to them, I understand why you're doing this, because all the crap that's out there, you know, and I'm trying to address it with media, and I make mistakes. And I hope you can just stick with me. And people really rallied to that. That was an important thing to happen. I don't know if it was a PR person that wrote it, or it seemed pretty genuine. That kept people stuck to her. And that was really, really important during that time.
As her divorce from K-Fed drags on, Britney fights to have full custody of her 2 children, even as her drinking, partying, and drug use flames out of control.
You think getting custody of her boys would kind of settle her down, put her back into mother mode, but things were about to get worse.
In February 2007, Britney checks herself into Crossroads Center, a rehab facility in Antigua. 24 hours later, she checks herself out.
After checking herself out of rehab, she goes straight to a salon and shaves her own head. She literally grabs the shears and starts going at it. Later, there are rumors that it was because she wanted to avoid a drug test. The paparazzi find her. They start, taking pictures of her. She goes down to the tattoo shop down the street, gets another tattoo. This is an epic meltdown, and it is not pretty.
4 days after shaving her head, Britney once again checks herself into rehab, this time at the Promises Rehabilitation Center in Malibu, California, only to check herself out again within 24 hours. When word gets back to Kevin Federline about her latest failed attempt to get clean, he reportedly gives his ex an ultimatum: return to rehab or he'll go to court and seek full custody of their 2 children.
When Britney hears that, she goes straight to K-Fed's house. She's got paparazzi tailing her. But when she gets there, he's nowhere to be found. So instead, she takes her anger out on the paparazzi. And this results in the infamous umbrella attack.
Britney checks into Promises, this time staying for the entire 1-month rehab program. Upon her release, she again fires manager Larry Rudolph, publicly accusing him of ruining her life.
It seems that Britney is blaming everybody around her for her problems, but it's her who's having a very public dismantling, a very public unraveling.
In September of 2007, a California court rules that Britney is a habitual drug and alcohol user and must undergo regular testing to ensure she's not inebriated around her children. Despite her troubles, later that month, MTV announces Britney will make a triumphant return at the year's VMAs in September.
MTV did not want her at this point. They were afraid to put her on, so they put some very, very strong stipulations with it. 1, she had to rehearse steadily for 5 weeks. 2, she had to have an experienced manager because at this time she didn't have a manager. And 3, she was not to get paid unless it went off flawlessly, and she wouldn't get paid until after it aired.
Everyone loves an underdog and they root for the underdog. And everyone, when they heard that Britney Spears was going to be opening the VMAs after all these problems, was right there. They're rooting for her. And she came out and people were just in shock. She was so robotic. She missed dance. I mean, to have Britney Spears not be able to dance, people really felt like, whoa, there's a problem here.
Just weeks following her disappointing performance, Britney again makes headlines after she's charged with committing a hit and run and driving without a license.
In the next few weeks, she's seen running around on the beach in her underwear. She takes her kids out of state, which she's not allowed to do. The paparazzi are always there. They're always hot on her trail. Ultimately, Kevin sues her for custody of their 2 sons. But that's what a responsible, concerned dad would do.
Back in court, she's ordered to hand her children over to former husband, Kevin Federline.
But let's be honest here, if K-Fed is looking like a candidate for Dad of the Year, I mean, let's think about that for a second.
As Britney releases her 5th studio album, the ironically titled Blackout, in the fall of 2007, she crosses paths with a man named Sam Lutfi. A mysterious Los Angeles player with a shady past, Lutfi seamlessly works his way into Britney's inner circle, quickly gaining more and more control over the singer, even as rumors swirl of his abusive and domineering behavior.
This guy, Sam Lutfi, with his little soul patch, comes in and all of a sudden he's Britney's friend, her manager, her publicist. It's a really peculiar situation. It looks like Lutfi is taking over her career and her life.
Lynn Spears says, I believe this guy is feeding her antipsychotics, cutting off her communications to the rest of the world, phone line, internet, and so on. And it turned out to be true that he was controlling her in every way possible.
Around the same time, Britney has also befriended a member of the paparazzi, Adnan Ghalib.
Britney was not doing really well at this time, and Ghalib came in as her protector. He actually pushed paparazzi out of her way. She jumped in the car with him to get away, and that's when their intimate relationship actually began. So he came to her at her weakest as her protector. And together, he and Lutfi manipulated her into trusting them.
On January 3, 2008, police are called to Britney's home when the star refuses to hand over her children to Federline for visitation. After being examined by medical professionals, Britney is strapped to a gurney and transported by ambulance to the psychiatric ward of the Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center. There, she is held under what's called a 5150, an involuntary psychiatric hold.
With a 5150, what we're talking about is a 72-hour hold for psychiatric reasons. This person most likely is hearing things or seeing things that aren't there, having delusional thinking, but sometimes that 5150 is issued because the person is psychotic because of a drug overdose or drug use, or is just plainly suicidal because of some sort of depression. Either way, they are a danger to themselves or others.
Upon her release, in a desperate bid to help their daughter, Jamie and Lynn Spears attempt an intervention. When they arrive at Britney's home, paparazzi are everywhere, and Sam Lutfi stops them at the door. Only Lynn is allowed to enter.
2 days later, her condition had not gotten better, and she was brought back on a 5150 again for another 72-hour hold in order to observe to see how she could be stabilized and certainly that she not be a danger to self or others.
This time, however, Britney's parents know what they have to do to save their daughter. On February 1, 2008, Britney's father, Jamie, is granted temporary legal control over Britney after he and Lynn petition the court, claiming Britney is in no frame of mind to manage her own affairs.
Not only is her father granted legal control over her decisions, her parents also leave the court with something very important: restraining orders against Sam Lutfi.
By taking over her finances, her father really saved her. He was her saving grace. He was able to get all the leeches out of her life. She can't sign anything, she can't make any decisions, she can't spend any money, she cannot sign a contract, she can't make a deal. So how do you sue somebody that has no control? This was a brilliant move on his part.
Someone has finally come to Britney's rescue, and now the hard work of getting her better can begin. Following a humiliating year-long public meltdown, Britney Spears' father has assumed legal control over his daughter and been granted restraining orders to bar Sam Lutfi from her life and from manipulating her affairs. Now it's time for some serious damage control. Under the conservatorship of her father, Britney is released from the psychiatric ward of the Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center in Los Angeles and brought home to recover.
Damage control was in full swing at this point. They had a job ahead of them trying to get her back under control, get her back into shape, get her body back, and convince her fans that she was back. The old Britney had made it back and made it through the storm and had come back.
In her first public appearance following her forced hospitalization, Britney appears in a cameo role on the hit TV sitcom How I Met Your Mother. Despite her recent troubles, the star's appearance brings the show its highest ratings ever.
It's a small role purposely designed to not have her do too much, but it's a great PR move because it makes her look normal. It makes her look healthy. and that she's working again.
Eager to improve not only her public image, but also her quality of life, Britney and her father work to give her more access to her sons, Sean Preston and Jaden James.
This speaks to the importance of having a parent or parents in your life to support you. Instantly, we see that Britney is doing better. She's gaining weight. Her mental stability is coming back. But most importantly, she's able to now get split custody with Kevin Federline and finally is reunited with her children. Things are on an upswing.
With positive gains in her personal life, by September 2008, Britney begins the campaign to resurrect her stalled career. Appearing, but not performing at the MTV VMAs, Britney is hailed as a returning hero, winning the award for Video of the Year for her hit, Piece of Me. Later that month, she confirms her continued dominance of the pop charts by once again hitting #1 with the dance floor banger, Womanizer.
It was the Britney Spears single that we had been waiting for a long time, and it was her first #1 hit since Baby One More Time. And the message was loud and clear to the music industry, which was, you know, I may go away for a little bit, but I'm always coming back. And she came back in a huge way.
It's been a brilliant move because she's topping the charts again. She's getting all the gigs. She's actually making more than she did before at this point.
In January 2009, Britney renews her protection orders against Sam Lutfi and former boyfriend, paparazzi photographer Adnan Galib, both of whom she claims have been conspiring against her. Recharged and energized, in the spring of 2009, Britney launches her first world tour in 5 years. Any fears that Britney's fans have abandoned her are put to rest for good when the show, referred to as the Circus Tour, becomes a sold-out international success.
To go out on tour and be successful is tough. I mean, look at Whitney Houston's last tour, and her Circus Tour ends up, earning $135 million. So again, it just established that she was committed and that she was here to stay.
In 2012, Britney signs up to join Simon Cowell as a judge on the TV talent search, The X Factor.
The whole experience has just, opened me up to so many different things and just how many gifted people there are out there. It's been a really special experience for me.
Britney is on the rise once again. In 2012 alone, she makes a reported $58 million through touring endorsements, the X Factor, her fragrances, her brand.
In September 2013, Britney announces a return to one of her favorite cities, Las Vegas, with a 2-year residency at the Planet Hollywood Casino. She alternates between LA and Vegas, enjoying life with her 2 sons, who are shared by both parents.
It really is a shrewd business move because touring and the concert business is so hard, and to pack arenas is practically impossible nowadays. So what she did was she made a show that she wanted to make. The most important thing here too is the reason that she did it is because she has a family and she wants her sons not to be traveling all across the globe and not have a home. And that's kind of hard to argue with.
It's like move over, Celine. There is a new hottie in town, and it's none other than Britney.
It's safe to say that even through all of the damage and the damage control that she's had to do, Britney Spears is one of the most popular and successful artists of the new millennium.
It's important with the depression that she's gone through, with the mental illness and the substance abuse issues, that she stay focused on her treatment, stay focused on stabilization, people, places, and things, having those people around her who don't tempt her into inappropriate behaviors or actions.
She is back on track. If she can stay there, she has a very long career ahead of her because there is obvious talent there. She is well-liked. She has a humongous fan base. She just has to keep it together.